Imagine waking at 3 a.m. to sirens and a man with a badge telling your child to step outside, except he's not real. Picture this, it's 3:17 a.m. The world is dead silent except for the gentle hum of your air conditioner. Your family is deep in sleep, trusting in the safety of their own home. Then suddenly, piercing through the darkness, come the unmistakable wails of emergency sirens. Red and blue lights flash through your bedroom window, painting the walls in urgent, dancing shadows. Your heart pounds as you hear heavy footsteps on your front porch. A loud, authoritative knock echoes through your house. Security. Open up. We have reports of a break-in in your area. But here's what makes this story absolutely terrifying, and ultimately inspiring: the person behind that badge, behind that uniform, behind that confident, commanding voice, is a complete fraud. A predator in disguise. A criminal who has studied every detail of how real security officers behave, speak, and present themselves. And the only thing standing between this dangerous imposter and your family's safety is a 17-year-old teenager named Sarah Chen, who is about to prove that courage doesn't come with age, it comes from within. This isn't just another home invasion story. This is a testament to the incredible power of intuition, the strength that emerges in our darkest moments, and how sometimes the person we least expect becomes the hero we desperately need. What you're about to hear will change how you think about trust, safety, and the extraordinary potential that lies dormant in every single one of us, waiting for that moment when we must choose between fear and courage. Sarah Chen had always been what adults called a good kid. Honor roll student, varsity soccer player, the type of teenager who helped elderly neighbors with their groceries and never missed her curfew. She lived with her parents and younger brother in a quiet suburban neighborhood where the biggest crime was usually someone forgetting to bring in their garbage cans. But Sarah had something else, something that would prove to be far more valuable than any grade or trophy. She had an incredibly sharp intuitive sense that something wasn't right when it didn't feel right. Her friends often joked that she had a sixth sense for trouble. On this particular Tuesday night in October, Sarah's parents were attending her aunt's wedding reception across town. They wouldn't be home until well after midnight. Her 14-year-old brother Jake was staying at a friend's house for a school project. Sarah was alone, which she actually preferred. It gave her time to study for her SATs without distractions. She had fallen asleep at her desk around 11 p.m., textbooks scattered around her, when the sirens jolted her awake. The first thing that struck her as odd wasn't the sirens themselves. Emergency vehicles passed through their neighborhood occasionally. It was the pattern. The sound wasn't moving past their house like it normally would. It was stationary. Focused. Deliberate. Sarah crept to her bedroom window and peered through the blinds. A white SUV with security company markings was parked directly in front of their house, red and blue lights flashing from its dashboard. It looked official. Professional. Convincing. The knock came 30 seconds later. Security patrol. We need to speak with the residents immediately. Sarah's training kicked in, not formal training, but the countless safety conversations her parents had drilled into her since childhood. Never open the door for strangers. Always verify identity. Trust your instincts. She called out through the door, "Can you show me your identification?" "Hold it up to the window." "Ma'am, we have reports of suspicious activity in your area. We need to ensure your safety. Please step outside so we can verify that you're secure." That's when Sarah's intuition screamed danger. Real security officers, she realized, would want her to stay inside where it was safe. They would work with local police. They would understand her reluctance to open the door. This person was trying to get her to come outside, into the open, away from the safety of her home. What happened next would have made many adults proud. Sarah didn't panic. She didn't freeze. Instead, she did something that demonstrated wisdom far beyond her 17 years. She started asking questions. "What security company are you with?" she called through the door. "Metro Area Security Services." "Look, miss. We really need to. What's your badge number? A pause. My badge number is 4471. Now please, we have reason to believe there may be an intruder in your area. Sarah's mind raced. She grabbed her phone and did something brilliant. She called the non-emergency police line while continuing to talk to the man outside. Officer, I need you to verify something for me. I have someone at my door claiming to be from Metro Area Security Services, badge number 4471. Are you working with any private security companies tonight? The dispatcher's response chilled her blood. Ma'am, we don't have any security companies conducting operations in your area tonight. And Metro Area Security Services has been out of business for over 3 years. Are you in immediate danger? Yes, Sarah whispered. I think so. Stay on the line. Officers are en route. Do not open your door under any circumstances. Meanwhile, the fake security officer was becoming more insistent. Miss, I can hear you in there. If you don't cooperate, I'll have to assume you're the threat we're looking for. Sarah made a decision that would save not just her own life, but potentially the lives of other intended victims. She was going to turn the tables. Instead of cowering in fear, Sarah decided to gather evidence. While staying on the line with 911, she began recording video on her phone, capturing audio of the conversation through the door. Sir, I've contacted the police to verify your identity. They're sending a patrol car to confirm your credentials. If you're legitimate, you won't mind waiting. The response was immediate and telling, angry cursing, followed by the sound of rapid footsteps moving away from the door. But Sarah wasn't done. She had realized something crucial. If this person was bold enough to attempt this deception at her house, he was probably planning to try it elsewhere. Other families might not be as cautious. Other teenagers might not have her instincts. She couldn't let that happen. From her bedroom window, she watched the fake security vehicle pull away, but she was recording. She captured the license plate, the vehicle description, even managed to get a partial view of the driver as he passed under a streetlight. 911, the suspect is leaving in a white SUV, license plate number. Sarah read off the numbers clearly and calmly. Outstanding work, the dispatcher said. Officers are still en route to your location, and we're putting out a bolo alert for that vehicle. But Sarah's night wasn't over. 20 minutes later, she noticed something that made her heart skip a beat. The same vehicle, with its lights now off, was slowly cruising through the neighborhood 2 streets over. He was looking for his next target. What Sarah did next transformed her from a potential victim into a genuine hero. She called 911 again and provided real-time updates on the vehicle's location. He's moving slowly down Maple Street now. He's stopping, he's getting out at 1247 Maple Street. There are lights on in that house. The dispatcher coordinated with patrol units, and Sarah became an unofficial spotter, safely tracking the predator's movements from her window until police could arrive. He's approaching their front door now. Oh no, he's knocking. The porch light just came on. Police arrived within minutes, but those minutes felt like hours to Sarah. She watched as officers surrounded the house on Maple Street. She saw the arrest. She saw justice being served. Later, she would learn that the man at the door on Maple Street was a single mother with 2 young children. She had been about to open the door when police arrived. The fake security officer turned out to be a career criminal with warrants in 3 states. His security vehicle was stolen. His uniform was purchased online. His badge was a convincing fake. His plan was to gain entry to homes by exploiting people's trust in authority figures. Sarah's quick thinking, careful questioning, and brave decision to track the perpetrator had prevented what could have been multiple violent crimes. The story doesn't end with the arrest. What happened afterward shows us the true power of one person's courage to create change. Sarah's actions that night sparked a community-wide conversation about safety, awareness, and the importance of verifying credentials. The local police department invited her to speak at community meetings about home security. Her school asked her to present to other students about trusting instincts and staying safe. But perhaps most importantly, Sarah discovered something about herself that night, something that would shape the rest of her life. She realized that in moments of crisis, we have two choices: we can become victims of our circumstances, or we can become masters of them. We can let fear paralyze us, or we can let it sharpen our focus and strengthen our resolve. I never thought of myself as brave, Sarah would later say in interviews. I was actually terrified. But I realized that being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do what needs to be done despite being scared. Sarah's story teaches us several profound lessons that extend far beyond home security. Sarah's intuition told her something was wrong before she had any concrete proof. In our modern world, we often dismiss our gut feelings in favor of logic and politeness. But our instincts evolved to protect us. They're worth listening to. The imposter in Sarah's story was convincing because he understood that most people have been conditioned to obey authority figures without question. Real authority figures will understand and respect your need to verify their identity. Sarah didn't just ask one question, she asked multiple questions and verified the answers. When someone is trying to deceive you, questions are your best defense. Legitimate people welcome questions. Illegitimate people get frustrated by them. Sarah could have simply hidden until the threat passed. Instead, she chose to actively prevent the predator from victimizing others. Her actions that night protected not just herself, but an unknown number of future victims. Sarah's story inspired her community to be more vigilant, more questioning, and more willing to trust their instincts. When one person stands up, it gives others permission to stand up too. What Sarah experienced that night, that immediate sense that something was wrong, wasn't magic. It was her brain processing thousands of tiny details too quickly for her conscious mind to catalog. The timing of the sirens. The phrasing of the demands. The pressure to act quickly. The reluctance to provide verification. The attempt to get her outside rather than keep her safe inside. Scientists call this thin slice judgment, our ability to make accurate assessments based on minimal information. It's the same instinct that helps us sense when someone is lying, when a situation is dangerous, or when an opportunity is too good to be true. Sarah's story reminds us that we all have this capability. We all have an inner alarm system that's constantly monitoring our environment for threats and opportunities. The question is, are we listening to it? Sarah's experience provides a blueprint that any of us can follow to protect ourselves and our families. Develop a standard set of questions to ask anyone who claims to represent authority. What's your badge number? What agency are you with? Can you wait while I call to verify your identity? Real professionals in legitimate situations will understand and respect your caution. They know that impersonators exist, and they want you to be safe. Anyone who pressures you to skip verification steps is automatically suspect. Sarah knew her house well enough to move safely in the dark. She had emergency numbers programmed in her phone. She knew which windows provided the best vantage points. Make your home your castle, know every entrance, every hiding spot, every escape route. Sarah didn't suddenly become brave that night. She had been building courage throughout her life by standing up for herself and others in smaller situations. Courage is like a muscle, it gets stronger with use. The police were able to respond so quickly partly because Sarah's neighborhood had good relationships with local law enforcement. Know your neighbors. Know your local police. Build networks of mutual support before you need them. Understanding how the fake security officer operated helps us protect ourselves from similar schemes. Predators like this one succeed by exploiting our psychological vulnerabilities. We're programmed from childhood to obey authority figures. The uniform, the badge, the confident demeanor, all of these trigger our compliance instincts. By creating a sense of immediate crisis, the imposter tried to bypass Sarah's critical thinking. When we feel rushed, we make mistakes. Getting Sarah outside would have isolated her from help and put her completely under the predator's control. Always be suspicious of anyone trying to separate you from safety. The fake sirens and official-looking vehicle were designed to provide evidence that the situation was legitimate. Predators understand that we look for confirmation that others have validated their authority. Sarah defeated each of these tactics through preparation, patience, and persistence. She didn't let authority bias override her caution. She didn't let urgency pressure override her process. She stayed in her safe space and demanded verification. Today, Sarah is studying criminal justice in college with plans to become a detective. She credits that night with showing her the career path she was meant to follow. "I realized that night that I don't want to just avoid becoming a victim," she says. "I want to help make sure other people don't become victims either." She still speaks at community events about home safety and trusting instincts. She's helped local police departments develop better protocols for verifying the identity of their officers when they're conducting door-to-door investigations. But perhaps most importantly, she's living proof that heroes aren't born, they're made in moments of choice. They're ordinary people who decide that protecting others is more important than protecting themselves. Sarah's story isn't just about one teenager's brave night. It's about the potential that exists within each of us to rise above our circumstances, to trust our instincts, and to choose courage over fear. Right now, as you read this, there are people in your community who need someone to stand up for them. There are dangerous situations developing that need someone with the wisdom to ask the right questions. There are predators counting on good people to be too polite, too trusting, or too afraid to challenge their authority. The question isn't whether you have the ability to be a hero like Sarah. You do. We all do. The question is, when your moment comes, when you hear that voice in your head saying, "Something isn't right," will you listen to it? Will you ask the hard questions? Will you verify what needs to be verified? Will you choose the safety of others over your own comfort? Sarah Chen was just a teenager doing her homework when evil knocked on her door at 3 a.m. But she had been preparing for that moment her entire life through small acts of courage, by trusting her instincts, and by caring about the welfare of others. Your moment might not involve a fake security officer. It might be recognizing a scam targeting elderly neighbors. It might be speaking up when you witness bullying. It might be asking questions when something feels wrong at work, at school, or in your community. But when that moment comes, remember Sarah's story. Remember that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the presence of purpose. It's the decision that protecting others matters more than protecting yourself from discomfort. Remember that heroes are made in moments of choice. And remember that your community, your family, and your world need heroes. They need you. The fake security officer thought he had found an easy target that October night. Instead, he found something far more powerful, a young woman who refused to be a victim and chose instead to be a protector. What will you choose to be? This story is based on true events and serves as a reminder that heroism isn't about age, size, or special training. It's about the courage to do what's right when it matters most.